Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Confessions of a Wedding Band, brought to you by everyone here at the Martini Shot. This is a podcast where we document all of our on and off stage band stories and we discuss our originals. If you've been a part of a band for more than 2 seconds, then you've got stories. And well, this band's been together for 20 plus years and we've got all kinds of stories that we'd like to remember and to document. Years ago, we came up with the idea to write a book. However, problem with that, none of us know how to write. Thus, Confessions of a Wedding Band was born. All right, we got most of the band here in the studio today, so I want to go around the horn and have everyone introduce themselves and what their role is in the band. I'm Brian, be the host for this show, and play trumpet in the band.
I'm Steven, I play saxophone and guitar.
I'm Brooke, I play bass and keys and do some vocals.
I'm Andy, singer and guitar player. I don't know why I was leaning into the mic.
Ryan, Sizzle Pizzle, Rizzler, Walter, guitar.
I'm Rob, I play sax and keyboards, and if Andy gets tired, sometimes I get to sing.
Yes.
I'm getting more and more tired.
You do get tired.
This story, needs a little bit of preface. Ryan loves what he loves. No matter what, he will make sure that everybody knows what he loves, and he will defend it to the nines. And so, as we get ready for the preface of actually the chopping of the head off, there's all kinds of different things that had happened prior to that came into the culmination of the story of me and Ryan going to Pueblo Records and Tapes to buy the new 311 record, and going to Prime Time to sit down and listen to the record in the bar. Everybody had to listen to the whole record. And then we had to listen to it again. So we'll move on with some more of the preface.
So we already said that he likes 311.
Uh-huh.
That's a no-brainer.
So back in the day, you used to go get your CD at midnight on Tuesday when it came out, and we decided to pregame a little bit at Prime Time, probably for hours, and then drive to the record store and get the new album. And then, we knew everybody at Prime Time, so we were able to put the album on, and we listened to the whole thing. I think it was Don't Tread on Me.
It was.
And we listened to the whole thing one time through, and we're like, man, that's badass. This is great. Let's do it again. And you could tell everybody else in the whole fucking bar was like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
But me and Ryan were completely on board. We're like, let's go ahead and do it again.
Yeah. And then we listened to the whole damn thing another time. And then I was like, fuck yeah, let's do it again. Number 3. And at this point, everybody was like, dude, come on.
It'd be like an hour and a half of solid 311.
And it was.
Yeah. And I mean,
The same tunes over and over.
man,
which
but
is
if you
funnier.
think, we must have got it before midnight, because, I mean, we were there the entire night anyway, but
Yeah.
listening a couple times through. But this guy that was probably 4 times my size in the booth behind us was like, all right, I've had enough. This is enough. And
He goes, 311 was cool in 1994. It's not 1994. It's like 2007. That's enough.
That's when my eyes got big and my confidence was at its peak. And I turned around, and before this, I used to collect samurai swords and like chop down trees and poke chairs and shit. So I was so wasted, and I turned around and I got out of my bar stool that was my fucking bar stool. That was mine.
Because we spent a lot of time there.
I did my homework there.
Yep, you did.
I spent all of Steven's parents' money there. They paid me. And I turned around, and this guy stood up, and he was so fucking big. But I just got in his face, and I'm like, I'll chop your fucking head off. And he kind of, I mean, it's a little fuzzy, but he looked at me like, what the fuck did you just say? And so our buddy,
so funny.
Our buddy Eli at the time was bartending there, and he just grabbed me by, like, picked me up.
Mm-hmm. Which he could.
Yeah, all 120 pounds at that time. And then he took me outside, and he's just like, "Dude, you got to get the fuck out of here. What are you doing?" And what? I know we went back to my house to get my sword.
No, we went back to your house for you to go to bed.
Well, I thought I was gonna get my sword. And we walked in the door, and I remember Andy just saying, "Dude, go. You're going to bed. You're not going back there." And I'm like, "I get my sword. I'm gonna chop this guy's fucking head off. Or I'm going back to the bar." And I wouldn't listen to him at all. And then all of a sudden, my girlfriend walks out, and she's like, "Ryan, go to bed." And then all of a sudden, I looked at her, and I just started bawling. And I was like, "I'm tired of all these guys picking on me all the time."
I'm short. Because I'm short.
Yeah, because I'm short.
Oh, bro.
Which is really funny because the big joke about the band is that we're like the shortest rock band there ever was.
We are.
Yeah.
If you're over 5'8", you can't be in our band, right?
So after I got done crying, I realized I shouldn't go to the bar and chop his fucking head off. But I'm
All right.
really glad I didn't.
I'm glad
So
to.
there's a prime example. Maybe a little more climactic than the one that I can remember. But the one that I remember of Pizzle, of course, is when, certain radio professional personality, right, and comedian,
Which one?
manhandled and fondled his guitar.
Oh.
That was
Which-
my baby.
Which, let's talk about that, musicians, right? Like, those things should never happen, right? Like, unless somebody gives you permission and says, "Hey, man, yeah, check my bass out." Like, I definitely don't want somebody touching my gear, especially when it's up on stage, right? And it's not manned. And of course, we're just like a local band, right? There's no guitar tech. There's no guitar alley backstage or like any like
security.
area, that's like just for techs and things like that. So
I don't bring a second trumpet.
so here, and I've broken all of
your
your
road case.
instruments like many times, right?
I've broken
Just
his
in-
trombone too.
In antics. Yeah.
That's another chapter for the podcast. Trombone.
But nonetheless, this certain personality decides to take matter into his own hands, right?
During a
touch.
song.
And was that your white PRS, dude?
the
No,
red one.
I was playing
It was
my
the
white
red
one, but
one.
it was my red one.
Yeah,
and, I
it
mean,
doesn't matter. Either
I bought
way,
that when I was 16.
super expensive.
Yeah.
And mess around with it and then put it down. So then you manifested that energy for like over
a month.
a month. And because you didn't say anything to him that night.
He was mad that night, but the person had left. So he was pretty angry that night, but he held on to it, that's for sure. And I understand. Because don't touch
Yeah.
my stuff.
Yeah. I used to, even when I started in the band, nobody could carry it in the
I remember
case.
that.
Don't
Yeah.
look at it.
Don't even look at that one.
Don't look at don't,
Yeah.
Don't.
Yeah, so then
Man, now I feel really privileged.
tell
Yeah.
I
tell
really
the rest
do.
of that.
So, and Steven says he feels really privileged because Steven learned guitar from Ryan. Ryan was his guitar teacher, and Ryan would let Steven play his guitar on stage, but it was his student.
And I would never just walk up and grab it.
No,
Right.
That's a
No, you
whole other
wouldn't.
thing.
You
So-
gotta take me out to dinner first.
Yeah. Right? Wine and dine.
Well, so
we
you
had
saw
played
him again.
We had played Festival Fridays. That was the gig that the initial incident had happened, and here we are at the Colorado State Fair, which is about a month and a half later, in front of a ton of people. And guess who shows up?
Same radio personality.
Same radio personality shows up in the middle of the audience. And I don't know. I feel like I can't tell the story as well as Sizzle Pizzle because he's going to say exactly what he did. And it's iconic in our band's history. It was absolutely hilarious, and I can't wait to hear it.
So I sitting there playing. Back then at the fair was when I think we were playing 6 sets. So
6 1-hour sets.
we were way down, or I was way down on drinks, and I remember my students were there, their parents were there, my parents were there, everybody was there, tons of people, and I see this motherfucker walk
how
in.
How could you drink? You were playing.
Well, yeah. That's another story. But I'm not going to admit to a felony. I don't know the statute of limitations.
You're too busy.
Limitations is gone.
But he walks in, and I see his big, stupid, dumb fucking face. And I was like, fuck you, you guy, his name.
You guys.
And was it during a song?
Edit it out.
Was it during a song?
It was in the middle of a song.
But I know it was loud because normally I back off because I hate my voice. But I got right up on the fucking mic. Fuck you! I'll pee in your vagina. And it's the most insulting thing you could say to pee in a man's vagina, especially his big vagina. But I was so pissed for a month that he touched my shit that I just really wanted to urinate in his.
Yeah, man. And I think every
vagina.
musician out there can relate, right? Yeah. Like, but then the aftermath ensued.
But even after I said it, I was pretty buzzed. But I said it and I was like, oh my God. What did I do?
And he sees all of his like students and their parents and his parents and everybody like, what? Because this was all in the middle of a song. It was almost like it was part of the song.
And this was totally unprovoked, right? You just
Oh, yeah.
were like stewing on it.
He didn't say anything. I mean, he just walked in. But the kind of personality he is, he got pissed, like pissed off. And then what happened? It was on the break.
We were backstage, yeah.
Did we have Matt at that time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then that's what saved us.
True.
So, like, one of my good friends at that time, like, probably would have put him down. Like, but he was
probably
pissed.
about it.
And rightfully so, he was pissed, right? And he came like a bull during break. Of course, you went to go pee, so I knew he was going to ambush you.
He was ready to.
So
yeah.
I told Greg and Matt, and we all rolled out there, and I threw some little Chihuahua enforcer vibe down on him, and because I knew I had my back, and somehow he took that bait.
Well, he had me right
got out
up
of
against that like rail, and he was gonna just beat the shit out of me because he had such a big ego.
Yeah, well,
And you had some
it
little
would've been
fucking
bad,
dude
yeah.
saying he was gonna pee in your vagina in front of 1,000 people.
Yeah, that's calling the kettle black right there. You talking about his ego. That's pretty funny. Yeah. So nonetheless.
So then I think he backs down and he just changes his tune, and he wants me to ride his like humongous fucking Harley. He's like, well, okay, yeah, I touched your shit. You can ride my motorcycle.
That's right.
And
you wanted
yeah,
to make
I don't even
it
think
right.
my feet would have touched. And I was like,
like
yeah,
in a
sure.
like in a Native American way, almost like, okay, I have somehow, or maybe in like a Japanese tradition, right? Like, okay, I will give you this because I, lost face in this aspect or something.
So did you
know
write
what I
it?
mean? Like, I
No,
respect.
no, everybody was like, no. I mean,
guys
I was
ever-
pissed drunk. I don't know how to ride a
no, which was a
motorcycle.
good thing because we did.
fun.
Because
was
we
the end
did
of
say
night.
that would not be good.
Did you guys ever see that scene in Pee-wee's Big Adventure where he gets on the bike?
Just crashes it into the sign right through that sign.
Billboard.
So yet another time where I didn't totally get my ass beat because I acted like a complete dumbass for people talking shit about stuff that I like.
Was.
Well, or touching my shit. But
Are you saying just one other time?
oh, there are plenty. Yeah. It even started earlier than that in 2000 in Alamosa when I saw you at that party and I was like, You fucking like Metallica?
Oh yeah.
They suck.
You think Kirk Hammett's the best guitar player in the world? No. Well, Tim Mahoney's better than him. See, I'm like, who's Tim Mahoney? He's a guitar player for 311. You stupid fuck. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You love Kirk Hammett. I'm like, I don't love Kirk Hammett. He goes, I know you love Kirk Hammett. You got the poster on your wall. I saw it. Little did we know we would become best friends and write songs and play in a band together for over 2 decades.
I don't know why I had this thing about anybody talking shit about 311. I don't know.
Oh,
Everybody else.
do you remember that?
Which time? I know. Sizzle Pickle?
Yeah, when you guys came over and jammed in my apartment.
Yeah.
Next thing I know, like, I'm like, it's going pretty good, you know? Like, I think we're doing all right. Like, we're jamming.
Probably like
it's like
at the end of Sandman and the Apes.
Oh yeah, true. So
I wasn't like in the band yet.
Right. Well, neither was I. So like we're just jamming.
He's still not in the band, actually.
Yeah, I'm not officially.
Well, now you guys can put him in.
That was our first order of business after we retired.
Now that Ryan's retired.
Yeah, you
you're
guys,
in.
you know any 311 covers, right?
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, man. Like, no. I don't. And he goes, I knew who 311 was, and I thought they were really cool, by the way, on the record. Mm-hmm. And he goes, well, like, here, you played this riff or whatever. And I was like, cool. I was like, that's it?
What do you mean that's it?
Yeah, after
he
that,
got
I was
all
like,
pissed off.
the fuck
And
does
then
this
he
guy
had to
think he
tell
is?
Andy, man, he's like,
keep
screw
searching.
that guy, man. You know?
That is funny, because we went out and we were standing on the driveway. And Ryan comes out, he goes, this guy cannot be in our band. This guy cannot be in our band. He's not the guy. I'm like, well, we don't have anybody else right now. You're like, okay, well, on a temporary basis. 20 years later, 20 years later, Ryan quits the band and Brooke's still in the band.
Yeah, I don't know if
Now we're
you guys
best
remember
friends.
the other time after it was after the B Street Bash when there was another guitar player in town that was very good, much better than me. And then we went over there and I got into it with him because I said I was better than him. Just on his break, I was like, hey, I'm better than you.
Wasn't this at the urinal?
Yeah.
I think it was at the urinal.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm better than you.
I don't know why.
Wow. That is like a total showdown at high noon kind of thing to say, dude. Like, oh, really? Yeah, I think I can shoot faster than you.
Yeah.
You know,
Or when I
like-
got choked out in the green light bathroom saying the same shit.
Well, that was a drummer. That was a drummer.
Yeah.
And he had an ego as well. He was like mega ego. But
Yeah.
he came up to you. He was the one that came
Yeah.
up to you and said,
Yeah.
hey.
Yeah, my band's way better than yours. I'm like, what the fuck did you say? And like, right when I put it back in my pants, he like choked me out. Like,
Sleeper, dude.
yeah. So anyway, I'm not like that anymore.
I will say, though, and I think Brooke and Rob would definitely agree with this, that kind of confidence and willingness to put ourselves out there, which I think, you know, Ryan kind of helped us personify in our early years. Ryan was able to give that that swagger that we needed to show everybody, you know, we know what we're doing.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. To finish off on that, everybody always used to say that Steven sounded like Rob on sax and me on guitar, and you're just totally kicking ass and
Thanks, man.
way better than me.
I wouldn't go that far, but thank you.
I'm challenging him next week.
Yeah.
For first chair.
Sick the second chair.
Baby, you're so much trouble. Yeah, baby, you're so much trouble.
You're so much trouble.
And I said, baby, I hate to burst your bubble. Why? 'Cause baby, you're so much trouble.
You're so much trouble.
Baby, you're so much trouble.
Can't you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah, baby,
now?
you're so much trouble.
So much trouble. So the song you just heard is called So Much Trouble. It's off of our latest CD called Last Call, and it came out in 2016. We're going to talk a little bit about it right now.
You're so much trouble.
You're so much trouble.
So, So Much Trouble, second tune off of the 16 release of Last Call. I cannot believe it's been that long. But this tune, somebody's at somebody's house. This tune actually originated at a state fair show years and years and years ago. We had a tendency, especially back then, to be very spontaneous and kind of just play around with the crowd at certain times. And there was a young man that had lost his driver's license.
And, yeah, at the state fair. Huh?
And so we were playing the show, and it was about midway through the show, so we're talking about like 9 o'clock at night, something like that. And somebody brought this driver's license up to us, and we were like, well, we got to tell everybody, that they need to come and get their driver's license. The guy's name was Travis. We have no idea who this Travis is. We still to this day don't know who this Travis is. But back then, it was just very second nature for us, for Ryan to start playing some sort of lick on the guitar, whether it would be some sort of chord progression or something. And he came up with this, Travis, you're so much trouble. So he played it, and then he sang it, and then I just started singing after him. And we started saying all these different things about what Travis was and what he did that was so much trouble. And so, we were talking about how he probably, drank too much and dropped his license in the bathroom or whatever it might have been. So it was a classic example of Ryan just coming up with an idea, and then the rest of us just kind of boom,
Yeah,
going
just riffing off of it. Yeah.
And
it turned out to be a reggae riff.
Yeah, and it was a reggae riff at the time. I don't think at the time it was the same chord progression that is the actual song, but that was the beginning of the idea of So Much Trouble. Years later, fast forward years later, Ryan has always been kind of like the creative force that comes up with a lot of the ideas in the band, and so he would always give us a bunch of different ideas that he had, and it was just this kind of simple 2-chord lick that went back and forth between A and G, and it just kind of worked perfect that we could put the So Much Trouble idea into it, and so as we kind of started working on the song, I think we just changed Travis to Baby, and then started making it a song about a girl that was just truly so much trouble. She was always in the wrong spot at the wrong time, always bringing us down as the guy or whatnot. And so it became, Baby, You're So Much Trouble. And it, like I say, mega reggae kind of lick that Ryan put together. And
I was listening to Dirty Heads, and then they had a song with horns on it, and I'm just the world's worst keyboard player, but I pulled up the keyboard on GarageBand and just did that little initial
horn lick
on there, and I think everybody came over to my house, and then we kind of put that whole song together. Yeah, I think after that, but
and that was a quick one too. I mean,
really
we were able
quick.
to put that one together
Yeah.
very quick.
Because that was when we did like the listening party at your house, right?
yeah, that was maybe a
when
little
we-
bit after, but even before that, everybody came over to kind of write that, because Greg just had his little drum pad, and then you guys came up with the horn lick in the middle after that too. But
One of the coolest things I think or one of the memories that I enjoy the most of that whole recording process of that album was when we went up to the cabin that our good friends Sean and Tammy basically let us use, and for creative freedom, and we tracked it in that living room out there in the woods. Beautiful, such a great place. And I'll never forget, like, we were just sitting around like we are right now on the couch, and Brian was doing his trumpet part. And I said, more like mariachi, more shake, more, like you got to go for that, And every time that like I hear that song, I'm always like, there's some really good things about that tune.
Yeah.
Like Greg and I locked in really well together and tried to replicate a reggae thing without obviously not ever really being hardcore reggae fans or playing in a band, but try to be as authentic to the style as possible. And I think it's a really tight rhythm section on that. I like that. I like the riffs and everything, but the most that I enjoy of that is the horn and the way the horn parts like soar over that. So, it's, like you said, you wrote those on GarageBand and then they actuated into that kind of icing on the cake of the tune. So,
And I noticed that on my way up here. Same thing, Brian, that part. The
shake.
I love it. I love it.
And I would agree that that's my biggest memory of recording this tune is all of us, every single one of us was sitting there on the couch.
Coaching. And Benny took it. That was the worst part because, we were obviously, being ourselves and kind of like coaching him where he should have, anybody in that situation could have been like, screw you guys. Like, I'll play it the way I want to play it, But like, we just wanted like that best take, And then when you got that take, it was like, I remember everybody going,
jumped up screaming.
That was it, Like, that was so cool. So anyway.
Couch was I think it was behind me when I was playing that because I was playing away from you guys. I just felt that energy when I played it, just like come from behind, just that energy when it was like, okay, if that's the take, don't anybody touch anything,
And I'll tell you, recording up there was just awesome. Like even before we recorded there, we went up there and just hung out and wrote and wrote and wrote. And some of the best sounds I've ever gotten came out of that cabin, especially when we put my amp in that room. Oh man,
we stuck
we
it
had
in
the
like
run, we had the run of the house.
Yeah,
it was just.
Well, and I wish Greg was here to say, because every time he hears the solo to Bruntry, I know we're talking about So Much Trouble, but every time he hears the solo to Bruntry, he's taken back to where your amp was in that other room, and you were sitting in the kitchen.
Yep, it's just huge. But all the sounds out of there were just something about that place was awesome.
Well, and it was cool because we largely recorded everything live together. And there were obviously overdubs done after the fact, but the main basis of all the tracks were done with everybody playing at the same time.
And that's the first time
vibing and locking in. And that's why that rhythm section's tight, because I'm listening to the kick right there at the same time.
And that's actually kind of the unconventional way to do it now.
I do say the ska part that we injected into it is total left field and kind of strange. The bridge and like, how many words did you fit into that like one measure?
A lot.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I was like, whoa.
There's like 500 words that go past you in like 3.5 seconds.
And I had to somehow, I don't know how, I squeeze in. They could always see you served more than Mickey D. And nobody can ever understand it. They could always see he's more than Mickey D, something like that. And it just goes so fast. Yeah.
And the whole idea was that at the time, whenever we would play live, it was such a big, the whole hip hop and rapping thing was so big. We didn't have that represented anywhere in original. That was the whole idea of putting that part in.
Yeah. And the fast lyrics and everything, yeah.
And I think you can tell. So I was listening to all of our albums, but especially this last one that this song is on. Since we were able to finally record all together, I think it just sounds so much better and so much more real because it was great recording all together. Because like we said in the last one, when we were in Greg's studio that we couldn't even fit into. It was so artificial, but yeah, this one just sounds great. Sounds so much better.
And I think that's part of the big memory of this record is that we were able to finally record as a band. And I think that we would all agree that with Last Call, especially with, not having Ryan anymore and all that kind of thing, this was a great representation of what the Martini Shot is as far as our original sound.
And I would say this song in particular is probably one of my favorite to play live too. It's just so fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just the way it kicks off.
Yeah, love it.
And people groove to that. Like, reggae has like a solid bass line that's very. I tried to play that, thinking as if I was like, whatever, Sid the Family Man Barrett or whatever, like one of those great, bassists from back in the day who would have just kind of made it, speak, but not get too over busy. But it is the line, like you say, it's 2 chords, but it's the way that we entwined all those different parts together that makes it interesting to listen to. But you still are always having that primal groove kind of underneath it. So I know Greg was really, proud of that, and his fills are great. Everything, all his chops are super tasty.
Oh yeah, and the drums are so big on that, and yeah, I loved it.
Well, especially with the way it starts. I mean, it kicks off right away. So,
And that's why I like starting off like festivals with that, because it just starts like that, and then you're just rocking out, and everybody's like, okay, gets going.
Well, it's one of the few that you look out and you see people. I mean, it's not hard to figure it out, but people sing along to it, which is
It's
a pretty cool.
That's the
it's
other
a pretty
thing.
special thing.
Yeah,
Making your music simple allows people access to it. And when you have a hook and that's music 101, right? When you've got something as simple as Baby, You're So Much Trouble, I mean, that's cake to sing.
But like you're saying, it's simple, but I mean, everybody's doing their own thing. It's kind of cool to see the sum of all the parts create that.
and this I think would be a very good example of true sum of all parts.
and I don't care. I love the part where you guys say, "I'm talking dose."
Me too. Me too.
As goofy and that's we don't take our music so serious. I think through that whole album there's some really great musicianship moments and a lot of compositional things, and of course I'm speaking proud of something that I'm very connected to, but that aspect is just something that is a special kind of thing. Like when you have humor, don't take yourself so serious. Obviously you're trying to be a musician and you're trying to put out a great product, but it's those little injections. That's John Lennon cynicism, straight up. Like the beauty of Lennon and McCartney, it's getting better all the time, and Lennon quirks, couldn't get much worse, or whatever, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so always having a lighter side about your music and not taking yourself too seriously. There's comedy all over all of our albums. I mean, all the way down to goofy things that like they wouldn't even let us put on our CD, because of copyright infringement. And, but, especially our instrumentals, which I always think are like, there's something we're going to have to talk about again later, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
I think that, like Brooke's saying, I mean, that's why I think I would say, and I think everybody would agree, this album was showing who we are as a band. And we're going to have those quirky things like I'm talking dose, which nobody probably really gets except us, but that's the beauty of it.
Well, that does it for now with this episode of Confessions of a Wedding Band. Thank you so much for listening to our little experiment in documenting stories from our band. Check us out on all of the socials. Just Google Martini Shot Band. You'll find us all there. You can also check for our website at martinishotband.com. This podcast is produced by all of us here at the Martini Shot and auto-engineered by the one, the only, Stephen Falsetto. Keep supporting local music in your community, and don't forget about your wait staff. Tip them well, and put all your love on them. We'll see you next time.
is ticking and I'm not sticking around. The wall has rotted, it's burning to the ground. Searching and searching, there's something to be found. The clock is ticking and I'm not sticking around.